and back after we're done.
Alrighty, we are back again. This is episode 3 of Clear Views podcast, where culture meets conversation. We are in the beautiful Flash Media studio. Shout out Flash Media. Some top talent is, utilizing this studio, so we're pretty lucky, man. Holy shit, that's Donald Trump right there, bro.
What did you just see?
DJ T's out there. Yeah, we are lucky to be here.
We are lucky.
Woo! Nice. So I'm really excited about it. So I think it's
just a janitor.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Fuck. Just the maintenance guy?
Yeah.
He's orange though. He needs to fix the fucking bathroom actually this weekend. So but anyways, the start of this episode, I am super excited because now we're starting to get into the meat and bones of what we're really about. I do want to take it back. We were having a really dope conversation before, and I want to pick up where we left off. We were talking about AI and just the effect it's having, and some of the ideals behind it, right?
Right.
So if you don't mind, Tim. Oh, by the way, it's Bishki Baby, your boy, and Big Daddy Simmons. Tim, Big Daddy Simmons, to be exact. But hit me with it, bro. We were talking about that. Where do we leave off? I was talking about the whole
Skynet. Yeah. Taking over on that. How much time we have?
I'm the douchebag with the glasses talking about Skynet. So, So my thoughts are,
That's going to kill us before climate change.
100%. We're done, bro. This is just literally for fun. I'm staying where yet. But what I was talking about was the concept of like movies and how they present these ideas. And my thought is that maybe they're priming the population to be ready for this type of, technology and these type of things that are coming forward in the future. And I'm curious to, whether you think if it's the movies come up with these crazy ideas and then the world, maybe people in the government, people in technology, they say, and they're inspired, or do you think the movies are obviously, they have big connections? I think the Pentagon has a movie department. Is it they're being told like, hey, prime people for this, like this is coming?
Definitely both.
You think so?
I think it's got to be both. I think there are technologies out there or theories of what can be. And so movies will kind of be based on that, or, just straight up sci-fi. Mm-hmm. I mean, Star Trek, when they're flying around in space, I mean, I don't think there's any, technology right now where we're going to do that.
Yeah.
But it's not far-fetched to dream that is possible, right? And most likely probably one day will happen.
Right.
So is that priming us? Will Star Trek priming us for like interstellar space travel and all this other stuff? Right. I don't think so. I think it's just a guy coming up with an idea that was catchy.
Yeah.
But I definitely think, they do prime us. I definitely think the music industry primes us. Mm-hmm. I think they push an agenda.
Yeah.
For sure. I think they push an agenda, but I don't think it's, strictly that.
Have you seen there's I've seen these videos of they're maybe not the biggest rappers in the game. Speaking of rappers, we want to talk about Kanye in a little bit, but
what's the video?
But I remember watching this one video. I forget what the rapper was. He was well known though. He wasn't nobody, but he wasn't the top of the game either. But he was saying how the industry or the studio or whatever would offer him more money to put more negative messages, focusing on drugs, suicide, whatever.
Right.
From what I understand, they get paid more to push that type of agenda from this person. It doesn't mean that it's a fact or anything, but it makes sense because when you listen to music, it's usually pretty wet ass pussy, fucking murder this motherfucker right here. You know what I mean? It's usually those type of agendas.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about the whole paying extra, so I can't really relate to that. But I can say that they do have, they push a narrative,
right?
For sure. They push the narrative of degeneracy for sure.
Yes, 100%.
And I really do think even the black community, speaking from a white guy, I still think the black community I think part of them are done.
Yeah.
I hear everything I hear online, and it could just be my echo chamber.
Yeah.
Which is very, very possible. But it sounds like most people are just done with it. And at least the educated people are just kind of look, I don't want anything. The government keeps lying.
Yeah.
Dude, the black community, how many times are the Democrats going to say, we got you.
Right.
We got you.
Yeah.
If you just vote for us, we got you. Yeah. They've never voted. They've never done anything for them. The poor communities in the ghettos and all these things, they're exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
They were in control of the last 12 to the last 16 years.
Yeah.
And they didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
But yet they're always promising that we're going to do this and we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And they want to claim like all this white supremacy or these systemic racism and all this other nonsense. The reality is nobody's coming to save them.
Yeah.
That's just reality. That's what's happening.
Right.
Like, I think everyone, like every community needs to look at like, look, either we're going to save ourselves or it's going to continue the way it is.
Yeah.
Like nobody cares.
Right.
To be honest, like all these politicians, nobody cares.
Yeah. You think these government officials are like, we really got to fix this. Like we're
absolutely,
they just use that
as the money grab.
Yeah, exactly. They use that for the attention. They use that for the votes. Right. We're going to fix this. Vote for me.
We're going to fix homeless. We're going to fix the poor communities. We're going to fix the black communities. It's this person holding you down. It's that person holding you down. Bro, nobody's holding anybody down.
And Loki, that's why I fuck with Trump so heavy, because he came into this game with money.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need that type of like attention, you know. That's what separates him. That's why I think he is, you know, rough around the edges in people's opinions, because he doesn't have to take that groveling route of like begging people to like, oh, donate. Hey, oh,
well, bro, if all your money is constantly coming from donors, that once I get elected, you're giving me this money that's not for free.
Yeah.
You're giving me this money. Obviously, I'm going to go and I'm going to do something for you later on. It's a commitment. And there's a business transaction. And nobody's giving $10 million to get just, you know, their person in to office.
Just because they believe in what they're
doing. I'm sorry to break it. But no. They have an agenda that they want something pushed. They have some law, some land development. They have some new patent. They have something.
We know it comes with a condition.
Everything is on a condition. You know, some bill that's going to get passed that their product's going to have an exclusive right to something, or you know, they're going to get a government contract that's going to buy X amount of their products.
Right.
You know, these sort of things.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with just being the good for anybody.
Right.
But it's all Trojan horsed that this is going to be good for you. I mean, you go down the list. You go down climate change. You go down COVID. You go down, you know, and then you even take it back far away, back down to like, you know, the civil rights movements and all these different things. Mm-hmm. They always make it seem like it's going to be good for this community, and it's not.
Right.
You know, when you get these people on the welfare check and you get these people on all of these, you know, the crack epidemic, when, you know, putting all that in those communities. I mean, bro, it just was a disaster waiting to happen. Yeah. And I think it was all planned.
Yeah.
And I think, but again, I think people are waking up to it.
Right.
I think people are like,
so
they don't want this shit no more. Everyone's been lying to everybody for so long. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. It's the inauthenticity that all of these people have. Right. They can't fake it anymore with social media.
No.
Because when you're on a long-term podcast, your bullshit shows.
Oh yeah.
Regardless of where it's coming from,
right,
how it's coming from, it shows.
Yeah.
And whether you're being authentic or not, if you want, I think authentic. I think we all want to hear, just authenticity, whether you believe in the shit or not.
Right.
But if you truly believe it or not.
Right.
But if I'm spitting some words that you told me to say at the beginning of this podcast, you're like, hey, Tim, I really want you to say this.
Yeah.
And then I come in here and I'm like,
yeah,
Bashoy is set to the bow, you know, whatever it is.
Right.
That is going to be something that is, it's just going to be so fake.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the biggest point that I can.
And I think you're so right, man. I think people are getting privy to it. At least I hope they really are, man.
I think so.
The other thing too that really gets me is like, when you're looking for information in the world now, it's like, how do you know what you're looking at is the legitimate truth or factual? And you know, we talk about fake news, and you know, like it depends on what side you're looking at. You know, CNN or Fox. You know what I mean? And it's just like, even though I consider myself more conservative than anything, I'm sure there's still some information that's being swayed or manipulated when I'm getting it from conservative sources, right? Sure. You know what I mean? So it's just like, this is so random, but like this goes back to like my this is like a random thought that I have, but you know, like carbon dating, right? Like when people are like, oh, the science proves it, I'm like, are you there? Like, how do I know that machine even works? Like, anyone can just say like, oh, this machine carbonates, and like, who's gonna call you on that? Like, who's gonna be like, oh, well, let me look through it. The average Joe's not gonna know. They're just like, oh, well, scientists said that the Earth is fucking. It's like, do we really know that though? Like, that's my thing. It's like, that's why I look to my faith more than anything, because I'm like, the fact that Jesus showed up thousands of years ago, right? And the fact that his story and his message and the faith and the belief has withstood all that time.
Right.
Why is it Buddhism the number one religion? Why isn't whatever?
Because those are all works.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's like there has to be some truth to it. Yeah, there has to be some truth to it. And even if you're looking at it from like the the atheist look or the mindset, and you're just looking at strictly history, there are other supporting documents that support that he existed and all that.
Oh, definitely.
So it's
Did you think Cleopatra existed? No one disputes that Cleopatra existed.
nobody
There are more documentation on Jesus
than Cleopatra.
than Cleopatra.
Yes.
But we all want to say like Cleopatra existed, but Gene somehow didn't.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
But everything is based on faith. Even they say, I love it when they talk about the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Even that theory requires one miracle
Right.
of what created the Big Bang.
Right. And why? And I think that's science's version of explaining what happened with God doing.
Yeah, right.
The Big Bang is God.
Yeah,
like
100%.
it snapped it into existence. Right. You know what I mean? So
I mean, if you just look outside,
Yeah.
you open your eyes, bro.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem. Everything now is like, they don't want us to trust our own eyes. You know what I mean? But see what you were saying with, I think with saying carbon dating and not trusting this, not trusting that. I really think when I grew up, I don't think I did trust the science. I did trust these things, right?
Right.
But what's happened is as we've gone on and as technology's gotten better and social media's come out, I think the biggest problem we've had is they've lied to us too many times.
Exactly.
So now we're just sitting there and we're calling like, do you know what's weird? The only thing that hasn't lied is God and the Bible. The Bible has been consistent throughout, right? Compared to all these other things, you know, we got this Fauci guy, and we got this politician, and we got this. Every single thing is a lie. Is 9/11 real or not? I call bullshit. You know,
Big time.
did we not know about World War II and Pearl Harbor? I call bullshit. Did we go to the moon? I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Did we kill JFK? I don't know. Did we actually do COVID?
Right.
Probably.
More like
You know what I mean? Like everything is so. It's all up in the air.
Right.
Of like, what is real?
Right. And the fact is they shot themselves in the foot by doing that, because even if they were telling us the truth, we're still going to question it now because we're so skeptical. Yeah. Because they've lied so many times.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I think the mainstream media is dead.
Yeah.
You know, they can't come back from this.
Right.
Even, you know, because they really have to just completely pivot and just tell the truth.
Right.
The problem is they're all captured by people who can't tell the truth.
Right.
You know, they all have Trump derangement.
Yeah.
Or some sort of derangement where they can't actually see reality.
Right.
It's just the weirdest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like it's the fact too that like when you're looking at these type of sources as far as information, I guess so this is where I want to take this. I feel like now, because of the fact that mainstream media has, like you said, like I said, shot itself in the foot, right? People don't even turn to it anymore. They're like, mainly get their information from like social media.
Yeah.
Like I don't go to the news to hear like a breaking story. No, I usually see it on my social media, and it's just convenient too as well. But like, I'm going to look at that now. And that's also what scares me is like, cause social media for sure, there's no full, like, you don't know what you're looking at. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's even, and it's gotten worse, I think, with social media. Right. Like social media has made it even more of like a veil over your eyes.
Yes.
Because you're like, is it true? Like, I'm seeing this. Oh, I'm seeing this. I'm seeing that.
Right.
And I think the true intention with social media was that it was supposed to be like real eyes on the ground. Like the news is saying this, but we have footage of people in the area that are shooting it. You know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, it's like that can be manipulated. So
yeah,
I think that the purpose was good, but it's been taken apart, and it's like not what it's meant to be.
Yes, right. Yeah. I mean, for me, again, it goes back to finding people that you trust. So the people that you'll find someone that you trust, and the reason why they trust is because you can put it up against the other side.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll listen to them and be like, okay, like a Tim Pool, Tim Cast is great. Was one of my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll listen to him. He'll talk about, whatever he's going to talk about. And then he'll either play articles, or I'll go to CNN's page, or I'll listen to a David Pakman or a Kyle Kalinske or a Breaking Points, or I'll listen to another channel, a CNN or MSNBC, and I'll listen to what they actually say in rebuttal. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I trust him is because most of the time, he's pretty correct on his observation of what actually the reality is happening.
Right.
You know, he'll read a story, he'll talk about whatever that story is, and it'll typically be like a pretty middle of the road story. He'll give you both sides. He'll be like, well, you know, the left is saying this, the right is saying this, and he'll say, well, the right's wrong because of this, and the left's wrong because they're completely deranged.
Sandy rejects is usually he doesn't like take a side. He's more showing you here.
Yeah, but I think that's where the right is not. The right is absolutely middle of the road.
Yeah.
Dude, everyone on the right is basically ex-Democrats.
Yeah.
It's just Democrats that didn't go woke.
Right.
Trump, Tulsi, RFK.
Yeah.
Like everybody.
Yeah.
They're all Democrats. And I'm not a huge fan. I'm definitely not a Democrat.
Yeah.
You know, I am for multiple reasons, but I'm not a Democrat because I think that is the party of the KKK and all that stuff to begin with. It is the party who went against civil rights. It is the party who, you know, had the slaves. It had, you know, if you look back at their history, they're horrible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you look at them now, bro, they're all racist right now. They're all racist right now. It's just they pick a side to be racist.
Right.
They're calling for segregation.
Yeah.
They're calling for all these different things.
Yeah.
But I found people that you know, if you can find someone that you trust, and over time, just like any relationship, like over time, if you lie to me over and over and over,
Right.
at some point I'm going to kind of be like, you know, I can't really take anything you say seriously. It's probably going to be a lie, right? Yeah. But if every time we tell the truth, and you know, time tells,
Right.
you know what I mean? So later on, if I'm like, well, shit, fuck, but sure, did lie to me about that,
Right.
or you didn't,
Right.
and if you didn't, then that builds trust, right?
Exactly.
And even though I could say immediately I trust you,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that I actually trust you.
Right.
Trust is only built over time.
Right.
You know, showing me that what you're saying is the truth, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really about it.
Yeah.
And I think that the left is really, again, shot themselves in the foot
Right.
by lying so many times.
Yeah.
And then the neocon Republicans too.
Yeah.
Because they basically lie about why we're going to war, why we're doing all these different things.
Right. And not to say that the right is perfect.
Oh, they're absolutely
We had flaws too.
They're
But
absolutely not.
the reality is the mindset, and I think how we view things. For me, I feel like the right looks at situations logically,
Yes.
and with objection,
Yes.
whereas the left looks at it with emotion. And I deserve this. What did you deserve?
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with, I think there's, for one, a lot of female leadership in the Democratic Party, one. And then also, and another reason why I think the minority communities are really, you know, strong on the Democratic, is because they have such a more of a collective culture.
Right.
And the Republican, I think Republicans and the, you know, the Democrats that have now switched to Republican, I think they are still a very much more independent thinking.
Yeah.
Which is more Christianity.
Right.
You know, we want to talk about how, you know, each person individually has its own rights.
Yeah.
Well, the Democratic Party, they're willing to sacrifice you for the good of the crew.
Right.
You know, and the Republicans are like, no,
Yeah.
you're not going to sacrifice me for the good of y'all.
Right.
Yo, that guy over there did it, not me.
Exactly.
Like, why am I getting persecuted for that?
Why do I?
And I think the other side is just like, no, you're taking the seat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're the one we're calling.
Yeah.
Your number got called.
Yeah.
You got the short end of the stick.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And then they all
You might law everything right. You did it by the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mob just comes.
Yeah.
You know, this is why you can't sway from them.
Yeah. You know, it is that mob mentality.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It's collective against individual.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thinking.
And I think it's funny too, because like they're always preaching like, oh, for the greater good, but it's really not. It's for them and it's for now. You know, they're saying, oh, long term, but it's not. It's not.
Of course not.
And I think that's what you're seeing.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah. And that's what I think you're seeing right now is like people are like, look at what Trump's doing, this and that. Look at the effects that's happened. It's like when you're trying to fix a broken system after so many years, you don't think there's going to be growing pains. I'll get it back on track.
I think we need to go through a major recession. Personally,
We probably,
I think rates need to go up. I think rates need to stay at like 8%.
yeah.
I think money needs to be tightened up. We need to get this debt figured out.
Yeah.
We can't be doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, Trump has the right ideas, but I mean, people all have their hands out.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for anybody to get anything done because if you really take away a lot of those entitlements,
Yeah.
bro, people can handle it.
Yeah.
That's the part of the problem. We've been on the dole for so long.
Right.
That you try, dude, if I gave you $50 every single day for no reason, if I gave you $50 for no reason and we did this for 3 years, okay. And over 3 years, you're going to become numb to it.
Right.
You're just going to look at your account and the $50 is going to be there.
Yeah.
On the 4th year, all of a sudden I just take it away and don't say shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to break to you. You're going to be pretty pissed at me.
Oh, 100%.
You're not going to be like, bro, by the way, thank you for the last 3 years. I really appreciate that. You didn't have to do that.
And that's that left mindset. Yeah.
You wouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
You would be like, bro,
Good looking out.
I need like $50.
Yeah.
I have this bill and this bill and this bill waiting on that I planned my life on based on that $50 you were giving me.
Right.
And that's kind of what's happened.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's waiting for their money that they've been getting.
Right.
So then the second we're like, hey, by the way, you're probably not going to get that anymore. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
And like, why do we have to get anybody money?
You know,
if we're in the middle of the forest, you ain't getting nothing. So why we're all humans on this planet? Like, just because you're poor on the planet, why does that guy over there owe you anything?
Exactly. That's that entitlement. I want you brought up such a good point, and I want to. This one guy, he explained it to me, and he explained it to me so like beautifully simple. He said the Conservative Party, their main focus is conserve resources, work for your own. You're entitled to do what you like, free market, capitalism. Like you have the option if you want to build a business, make money, whatever you want, and we conserve our resources as a collective. Right. Whereas the left is like, I'm a human and I'm in America and my situation isn't great. I want money and I need help. Right. Give me. Right. Instead of putting your effort into like, what trips me out is like, I see people at the county offices where they're like signing up for welfare and they're staying in line for like 8 hours. I'm like, bro, if you put half the time into making a resume and applying for a job, you don't have to do that. You would you'd make more. Yes. It's like, why put that energy into being lazy and saying, give me, when you could put that energy into doing something and making something of yourself? It's just that mindset. It's sickening, bro. It's sickening. Yes. And what are you like, if that is what we become as a whole, that's so scary. Because now we've just like, America goes from like the strong, powerful nation that we're progressive and we're growing and we're building and capitalism and the free market and all that stuff to like, give me. I'm poor, sir. Right. Like, exactly. I'm some more portage. Like, right. Bro, it's just, everyone's asking, I ask a big daddy to get paid. It's different when it's like, you tried and it's just like, you got effed, right? But at least try. Yes. That's my thing. It's like, okay, I understand those things are in place for those situations for yeast like, somebody like Ellie situation, the house is burnt down. Oh, for sure. Maybe they lost their job because of Ellie. Okay, that person deserves help. 100%. But a person that's just like, they don't want to try, they never tried, and they're like, oh, I can just take advantage of these things. That's what like literally grinds my gears. Oh, 100%. It just kills. But these are all the things, I think we are not unique in this. Yeah. These are what people are also seeing. They're seeing all of the things we're talking about. They're seeing that college is a scam. Yeah. They're seeing that all of these things are just scams. Yeah. Yeah. And they're all the things that they've been telling us for years are just not the truth. Right. And I think that's exactly it. Yeah. 120 grand in debt, 3 degrees, 2 MBAs, and I'm doing a fucking podcast. Right. Like, you do any of it, bro. Like, none of it. Right. None of it. You've been conditioned for that. Yeah. We've been conditioned to go to school and to not have babies. Yeah. And now we have a population problem and we have a debt problem. Yeah. Big time. It's so crazy that those are the two things. I remember when I was really young, I mean, my parents scared the crap out of me that do not get a girl pregnant. Don't get her pregnant. Don't get her pregnant. Don't get her pregnant. And I think everyone I ever knew, they said the same thing. Yeah. And then there are the people who got pregnant. Yeah. Yeah. And they were like, oh, did you hear her? She got pregnant. Yeah. And then she was shunned. Right. It was like the only shame came from being pregnant. Yeah. You could be a hoe. Yeah. You could sleep with the whole football team. No kid. And it's like, yeah, she's just doing her. Yeah. He's just doing him. Yeah. All this. But the second you had a kid, it's like, oh, did you hear what happened to him? What an idiot. Yeah. Like, and then all of a sudden it's bad. Right. Right. It's just a total mindfuck. It is. Because the reality is the goodness all comes from, life. Right. And we've completely went ass backwards. I mean, we've completely turned into a completely degenerate society. It's like I was telling you earlier, like, you like the music, right? Like, we have a song that is called Wet Ass Pussy. Okay. Oh, I thought you were going to call you about that. We're going to get to that. And the message behind it, and like, was that Cardi B? I think it's Cardi B or Nicki Minaj. Okay. One of the two, I forget. But, it's just like, what? Like, that's a song. And that's like, it's like little kids listen to it. Yeah. So if I'm a 12-year-old girl and I'm hearing this and I'm like, oh, that's the bar. Yeah, like Cardi B or Nicki Minaj, like, oh, I want to be like her one day.
Yep.
What do you think my mindset's gonna go towards? Oh, I need to start flexing my wet ass pussy.
Right.
I mean, like, it's just wild to me.
Yes, it is.
It's just wild.
Do you see, like, in your circle and maybe your age bracket, do you see more of a country making a pretty big comeback right now?
Like country music?
Yeah.
To a degree. I'm not a big country guy myself, but I do notice that like a lot more people are repping it.
Okay.
You know, I do have like a friend group that, you know, it's crazy. Shout out Victor and Mike Geargis, by the way. You know, Victor, a buddy of mine, he was like the biggest 112 fan.
Okay.
112 today, yeah. You know? And I fuck with that music too. Like I have R&B, right?
Me too, yeah.
Like huge 112 fan. And now he only listens to country.
Okay.
And it like I was just like, what a shift.
It's not anymore.
You don't think so?
Absolutely not.
Well, I mean, Beyonce is a country singer now, so you're right.
No. White people hate that. White people fucking hate that Beyonce one country album.
She is awful, bro. She talking about the manipulation and the push of the Pentagon and the she's a CIA operative. I'm telling you what.
Do you know about the Beyonce conspiracy? How like all these artists are required to thank her? That we have an award?
Not surprised.
Oh, bro, dude, it's if you look into it, it's pretty interesting. But go ahead. What was your point? My bad.
I mean, I'm just thinking the reason why 112 and I think country have a complete correlation is because it's back to like, it's a little bit of love music.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
You know, that's really what it
jump. You're right.
It's not but that's why the jump's right there.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's got very similar just vibes.
Yeah.
It's like a white culture vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's just the vibe. It's the same vibe. Right. So if you're looking at like if you're in a relationship and you're kind of feeling your girl or you're feeling your dude, all of a sudden, like you're gonna be listening to that because it brings up feelings of things you're going through in your relationship.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It speaks to you.
It speaks to you. Yeah. Right. Like the way the R&B did.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and where the hip hop doesn't speak to you.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if I've grown out of it. I still like what I grew up with, which had all the gangster rap, you know?
Right. Like Biggie, Tupac.
Yeah, all that Dre and all them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like, even when I listen to that now, like I can't really listen to it.
Yeah.
You know, again, but I think it's because for one, it's just been played out.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to hear about it anymore. I've heard the songs enough.
Yeah.
If they come on and I haven't heard it for 10 years, sure, I'm like, oh yeah, it was a bang.
Yeah.
But if it's something that it's like, I don't know, I'm not playing, you know.
Little Pump and Dirk and
I don't even know who.
Oh Lord, yeah. This is the rap game has definitely taken a few hits.
Dude, it's old Jay now too.
Yeah, dude. It's wild.
It's old Jay or the devil.
Yeah.
Like there's you know what I mean? It's like those two things.
Is Diddy or the devil? Bro?
Yeah.
Diddy or the devil.
It's just so strange. Yeah. And it's like, so who was gonna relate to that?
Right. Yeah.
Like I don't understand. Yeah. Like it's so when you have because most people are still pretty normal.
Right.
It's on the line, you have your freaks, and it makes it seem like these people are all crazy, right?
Because they get the most attention.
Most people, if you go outside right now, you're going to find most people are pretty normal.
Yeah.
They love their mom or their dad.
Right.
They probably have a family issue, one or two.
Right.
They, you know, everyone has their struggles, you know, of the real life situation.
Exactly.
All this internet stuff is all pretty much nonsense. Yeah. But the music is going to kind of reflect on, you know, everyone kind of wants someone to share this world with, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where they draw to that type of music now.
Right.
And I think it's not as degenerate.
Yeah.
You know, they're not talking about all this wet ass pussy, and they're not talking about shooting anybody.
And you're talking about like with country specifically.
Yeah.
No, the message is much cleaner. It's so relatable. And
they're bangers.
Yeah, they're a good one, bro. And to speak on that, you're right, because I just realized too, like, you know, a lot of people are shifting to country, like Lady Gaga, Beyonce. Yeah. Shabuzi, I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's like a black rapper, I think. But his songs, like he has one banger, I forget what it's called, but it's like a country theme song. Okay. And you're right. I think country is making a bigger comeback, and I think it is, like you said, like when the whole Diddy thing came out, and like especially like you're discovering like a lot of these rap guys are gay or whatever. The people are like, all right, man, you lost your credibility, because it was supposed to be like thug rap, like they're fucking tough. Well, and then it's like, are you though?
Right.
If you're getting smashed up by Diddy, are you tough?
Like, I mean, Tupac was a backup dancer.
Bro, you're right. And he was a theater guy.
Yeah.
A theater geek
too.
Yeah.
So, you know, everyone, you know, they're actors.
Yeah.
A lot of, you know,
it's a persona.
You know, and then if you're tough, you've been in the industry since you're like 12 years old or whatever, bro, like you're not on the streets.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Hell no.
Like, you're not on the street. Maybe you're on the streets for a couple of years. You're like,
It was an encore.
right, exactly. You ain't, man.
But you weren't
There's
breakfast.
so much of it is, again, back to this, so fake.
Yeah, it is.
And there are people out there that are really about that life,
Yeah.
and they look up to these rappers and they think that they're, that they're living with the way the rap games are.
Right.
Man, they're just exploiting those fools.
And you know what? Even with like podcasts, right? A lot of these podcasts, I don't see how they're relatable to people, because when you have like a guy like Bradley Martin and he's interviewing like Steve Will Do It or fucking Steiny or these other podcasters, it's like, you don't have their problems. Like, we are two regular Joes that are trying to start something big. We can relate to the people watching, and they can relate to us because we're dealing with real shit. This is why I call Clearviews a real podcast for real people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I agree with that, but I always want everyone to understand, like, what I think is, it doesn't matter, again, man, it doesn't matter how much money you got.
Yeah.
Nothing really matters. What really matters is, so yeah, they have different problems, though.
Yeah.
So they have problems.
They do.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
So just because their financial problems are kind of taken care of, I mean, more money, there is more problems.
Right.
Because you have to manage more things.
Right.
My wife has we talk about living in a house now, right?
Yeah.
Because we lived in a condo forever. And now she's like, in her whole life, she kind of lived in either apartments or small condos or small houses. And now she's kind of like, this is insane how much work this is. Like, just keeping them in the house.
Yeah.
Like, just keep it up, whether you got the yard and you have the, just everything, the garage areas and the upstairs, and everything has upkeep. Everything takes, and you got to stick with it.
Yeah.
So it's a massive amount of work. She's like, man, I didn't realize, like, this, thank God we have this.
Yeah.
But goodness.
Yeah.
This puts me to work every day. I got something to do.
Right.
So it's a completely different mindset on, like, and imagine someone in like 8,000 square foot house.
Right.
Now, maybe you have a cleaner and maybe you have a landscape. You still got to manage those fools.
Yeah.
You still got it. All this stuff has to be managed. You still have to make sure you have enough money to pay all these things.
Right.
And the bigger the nut,
No, more money, more problem.
it's absolutely all. Yeah.
Speaking of rap and speaking of a white guy's perspective, what are your thoughts on Heil Hitler and our buddy Kanye? Shout out Kanye.
I heard it's banging across the world.
Dude, I did you hear that whole song?
Oh, I haven't heard that whole song either.
But I heard a small clip it.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna lie, it was something else. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Bro, that's what's the craziest thing is that's what everyone say.
Really.
Everyone I've heard, they're like, kind of catchy.
He has a knack for doing that. He makes bangers. Like, he's a genius in the art.
Definitely a genius. He's a troll, though.
He is. 100%.
And the reason he's doing it is because it's the one thing you can't say.
Yeah.
It's like the white guy saying the N-word.
Yeah.
It's Kanye saying the hell hill.
Yeah.
That's just all it is.
Yeah, it really is. Do you think it's more do you think his mindset was like, let me stay relevant? Or do you feel like, okay, so you think it's like just a relevancy?
I think so.
And he's like, because I feel like Kanye is the guy that to move the needle, like as far as pushing boundaries. But I'm curious, like, if he feels the need to do that still, or is it just like he just thought of this song and he just knows it'll be a good song, or is he like, oh,
Well, you've been following him, bro. He wears a freaking Nazi.
that last thing or I saw him in that black KKK thing, or
We already did that.
but he's saying it's like not from the KKK or something. Like, no, I forgot what it was.
Dude, did you watch the Pope's funeral?
No,
Oh my God.
what happened?
Bro, the outfits these people wear, like the Catholic Church wears in tradition. I mean, they're wearing like KKK outfits. It looks like,
Oh my God.
it is trippy. It is so creepy.
Did you ever see about the Pope bringing in it was a South American idol, and he brought it in?
Oh, yeah, I did.
And they like, I was like, dude, it literally says in the Bible,
Yeah,
you shall not worship false idols before me. My boy brings in an idol into the.
But again, it's all been corrupted.
Yeah. Oh, dude, don't
Like, religions can be.
Well, no, dude. Listen, my opinion on that. More than anything, yeah, I'm Coptic Orthodox. I believe in my religion, and I feel like there's still some purity to it. But of course, anything man-made, it's flawed. And there's nothing in the Bible that says you need to abide by this religion. It says to be Christian. That means just to be Christ-like.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
There's nothing in the Bible that says, oh, you need to be Catholic, you need to be Coptic, you need to be Protestant, you need to be whatever.
You need to go to church these days. You need to
It's about the faith and the relationship with God more than anything.
and Christ, like you said, like I heard a good thing myself talked about. I was listening to today. He talks about like, the 10 Commandments are not like rules.
Right.
It's like you said, Christ-like.
Right.
Christ didn't murder.
Right.
So don't murder. Christ didn't steal. So don't steal.
Right.
Christ didn't covenant. So don't covenant. Down the list.
Right.
And so that kind of that made a lot of sense to me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of what, what they're talking about in the 10 Commandments.
100%.
And he knows that you're not going to be able to abide by all those things. You're going to lust, you're going to fall, envy, you're going to have jealousy, you're going to have all these different things. And while you have these, whether you think you're a good person or not,
right,
you're not.
Right.
And we're all sinners, the flood. And so, but the ultimate thing is to say, like, look, the only way through to heaven is through Christ.
Right.
And so we have to repay to him.
And yeah.
And do our best to not, but at the same time, there's no works that are going to get us there.
Right.
It's just saying, like, look, thank you, and believing that he is the Son of God.
Right. 100%. I wanna
we need to get back to the song though.
We do, yeah. I wish you could play it right now. You want to play it and like see what the full song is? I just want to. I don't think you can play it.
I think because I've been taking off on every line. No,
really.
I think you could find it on reaction videos, but I don't think you can find it.
Damn it! Yeah, because I saw it on like I think it was
not what I was looking it up. Not that I was adding it to where it was like
favorites at the favorites list. Repeat, Luke.
Hey kids, come look at this news.
So short, man. You want to pick you up right now?
No, I don't think you could. Because I tried to show my wife because it's on all the podcasts. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, babe, come check it. Did you hear this new song? Yeah, this new banger. But she's I found a reaction video,
right?
And I played it.
Oh, okay.
And but again, the guy in the reaction video stops it and was like, it was funny because he's like, man, this is actually a pretty good hook. But I can't get with this Hail Hitler. Right. Like, come on,
yeah. No, it's wild. It's fun. It's
what I heard, dude. They heard bars across the world are playing this song.
Wow.
And people are singing along with it.
Wait, is it like available internationally, but just on the US?
Probably.
Wow.
It's people get it. And if you're a bar,
yeah,
and you're trying to kind of be edgy, this is the thing. This is why I think all the woke shit is all done.
Yeah.
Because people are like, this doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't.
The N-word of a white person saying it, I understand it's got this history and all this other stuff.
Right.
But the real reality is, if I say, like, you're my homie and I say it to you, it really has no ill intent.
No.
If I have hatred in my heart for you or hatred in my heart for somebody, and then I say it, it doesn't have that intent.
Exactly.
It's the same as if I call you just an asshole.
Yeah.
In a real angry way.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, you little asshole.
Exactly.
There's completely different context to that.
Exactly.
And so with that being said, that's by the way it's been all taken. Everyone's done with pretending.
Right.
There's a great conversation I heard where it's literally like we're playing the game of don't step on a crack when you're walking down the sidewalk. Okay. We're playing the game of don't step on the crack. So we're saying white people don't mess up. Don't accidentally say it. Even if you say a word that sounds like it, and you say it fast enough, and it sounds like you said it, you'll be canceled for that shit.
100%.
We're all playing the game. Don't step on a crack.
Right.
After a while, you get tired of it, and you just start stepping on the crack.
Yeah.
And the reason is because it's not going to break your mama's back.
It's not.
You know what I'm saying? It's not going to break your mama's back.
Bars right
and the
there.
same thing with that goes with saying the words when you're singing the song of someone you love.
Right.
That is my favorite artist, and you're singing their song, and you're wrong for singing that song.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, my generation is Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson.
Right.
Like, these are Tiger Woods. These are the studs of all studs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Our culture does not give a shit what color color you are.
Yeah.
But we are getting tired of being like, every 5 seconds, it's, you're still racist.
Right.
No, you're still racist. You owe me and your family owes me.
It's been nonsense.
It's just played out. But the world's seeing it.
Yeah.
And we're all like, we're done.
And there's not to say that there isn't still people out there that are truly racist, but you can tell, like when their actions speak to it and they're like with anger in their heart and hate in their heart, that's a different thing. I'm sure that still exists, but I don't always as a whole that, like if, I saw a clip of, it was like a ESPN or something. It was a girl commentator and it was 2 basketball players. I freaking wish I could remember who it was.
Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark?
No, it was like she was like just a girl commentator for ESPN.
Oh, sorry, yeah, my bad.
And she said she was saying the Nuggets, but she said the N-word instead. And the 2 guys were like, "Oh, you fucked up for that." It was an honest mistake. It was like she had ill intent or anything like that. That was like people blow it out of proportion.
Yes.
100%.
And they want to say it's some, deep down thing. And just,
Oh, it's subconscious for her.
yeah, right. It's so nonsense.
I'm sure her man is by. I'm sure she died. They go down by those 2 NBA layers too.
Don't matter.
Yes.
But they want, we're in a culture of like, we want to see the car wreck. So we want to see this.
Obviously,
We want to see that. We want to see that. We want to, or that's what we wanted to see. I think people are just not.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, attention spans are literally, I think I read a stat yesterday that was like, if you can't captivate a person in a video, especially in the first 3 seconds, I lost them. You got 3 seconds to make an
Yeah, right.
Back in my day growing up, it's like, okay, like the 1 minute pitch in the elevator pitch, like, at least we had a minute.
Right.
Now it's 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, like that's why people keep doing crazy, stupid shit to fucking get attention. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's literally like if you watch the reels, the way you swipe,
Yeah.
On Instagram or all the different social medias, you're just like this. So it's definitely, that's where they get that 3 second tag, and if you see something that's like, okay, it triggers you can give it.
And you're like, oh, damn,
I like it. I love this. This is the best thing, but probably the next one's better. Nope.
Exactly. Nope.
Is this one it?
No. Yep.
And that's just what it turns into.
It is.
And then we take all those little snapshots.
Yeah.
And then we want to say, I read that. You could read that article in that amount of time, right? Where you're like, oh, Britney Spears went crazy again, and this and this and this, and down the list of like all the Fauci's going to jail, and the pardons were all fake, and you go down all these lists, and then me and you go have a conversation, and I'm like, hey, did you know Britney went crazy again? Mm-hmm. And it's like, no.
No,
she actually didn't. That's a 10-year-old article,
right?
That's someone that you just saw a reel of,
exactly.
And then we were talking about it, and then they talked about then everything we talked about.
Right.
Oh, Brittany, because she's crazy, and her dad does this, and dad did that. So then it goes to the next person, and then it just spreads.
Yes,
and it's all off of just something that's just nonsense.
Yeah,
didn't even
or outside you really have it.
Yeah, it's outdated, right?
Yeah,
and so that type of shit happens all the time,
and that's why I say that I feel like it might even get worse with social media because like. It could be perceived the wrong way or taken the wrong way, or it could just be outdated information that someone thinks is real or now because it's showing up on their feed. I don't know half the time when I'm looking at something, I'll be like, oh shit, dude, like today was a perfect example. I was talking to my homies, shout out Sam and Joe Haddad, by the way. Joe Haddad is a great realtor. If you guys need a house, by the way, he's going to love that. But we were talking about, what were we talking about? Oh my God, it was something. I can't believe I forgot it. Damn it, what was it? I totally forgot. If it comes back. Yeah. Edit that part out. It'll come back to me.
Yeah.
But what I do want to say is, like, where do you think it's going to go? Where do you think we're headed with, like, attention spans decreasing, with information being consistently manipulated? Like, do you think that's ever going to get corrected, or do you think we're even capable of correcting it? Where do you think it's going?
We're going to eat bugs and live in a pod. Probably. I mean, man, I don't know, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
I just for the sake of like, look, I do think the conservative movement is going to grow, but I think technology is, when the cops are going to be robots, they're not going to have, if you jaywalked and that's against the law,
no emotion, no nothing.
There's not going to be an emoji. It's going to be it's going to be an issue, right?
That's scary to think that's it's coming.
And I can't see why it wouldn't. And everything's going to be in the name of safety.
Yeah.
Everything. They're going to have all of our freedom way is the name of, exactly.
Just like they did with fucking the Patriot Act.
Yes.
We're tapping your phones to make sure there's no terrorists and
exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be truth to it.
Yeah.
Right. And then the second tragedy happens, which, and there's going to be real tragedies. But there's going to be, why wouldn't the government, if they know that they can capitalize on a tragedy, why wouldn't they coordinate?
Especially because they had the resources to do it.
Of course they do. Why wouldn't they, to get more control, the more control that you do, once you give that up, you never give it back.
Yeah.
I do think guns are probably going to be at some point, like, you could shoot, especially when they talk about drones.
Yeah.
Like all the warfare they've done in the Ukraine war and stuff like that. Dude, the drones warfare is nuts.
Oh, dude.
They're just dropping grenades on fools.
I see.
And you can't even shoot these things. Or they'll just run the drone right into you.
Exactly.
And blow you up.
That's what I saw, yeah.
So there's all kinds of different things that they do. And so that's all super scary.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we go with that.
Yeah.
I do think, Tim Pool, Civil War. Civil War. I think it's gonna happen.
And they had that movie Civil War that just came out. That's what I'm saying. The conditioning, the priming, like we are headed towards that.
I think so. I think so. I do think there are too many conservatives, or I don't want to use the word conservative. This is wrong. I think there's too many people who literally stand on the right side. I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, dude, did you think that COVID, all these people would just give up all their rights?
You know what? When
It blew me away.
I think we've been again conditioned, because when you look at 9/11 and the rights we surrendered because of that, why wouldn't they do the same thing with COVID? Especially because we haven't experienced.
Yeah, but did you expect everyone to be locked in their house? Did you expect everyone to be like, when you're walking through the restaurant, put your mask on. When you sit down at the restaurant, you can take your mask off. Did you expect everyone to comply like that? And then also, did you expect your fellow Americans to scream and yell at you when you didn't follow these nonsense rules?
Truthfully, I wasn't surprised by it. As far as expecting it, I was like, why would they do otherwise? Because I truly feel like the majority of the population are sheep. So it's when you have the news telling you, this is a fucking pandemic, you have to stay home, everyone's on lockdown. It's like, I guess we're on lockdown. Like, I feel like the people are just like, okay, I guess we got to do what we're told. Yeah. They had that mindset. There's only a few outliers that are people like, fuck that, I'm not listening to that bullshit. You know, the people that didn't wear the mask. Like, I at the time I was working at Verizon, and we got put on leave, which was nice because they were still paying us. Shout out Verizon, we need a sponsorship. Wow. So they were still paying us, but when we came back, they were like, we got to wear the mask. And I was like, dude, I can't fucking breathe for 8 hours through a mask and do my job. Like, so I was one of those guys that was like, I was wearing it down to here. You know, I did it because I was at work, but outside of that, if I was one of the store like that, I didn't fucking wear a mask. No, and they were talking about how like there was like respiratory issues with people because of these masks and all that stuff. So, I mean, again, to answer your question, it wasn't like an expectation. Like I expected it. I think I did actually. I'm sorry. Yeah. I was like, the masses are sheep. They're going to see this information being promoted by the major media and the mass media. They're going to fall online, you know, and that goes to show you where we're at as a country and as a people, is that they do. It's like, it's almost like they test it. Yeah. They're like, let's see if we can get these guys to fucking.
It made me really believe why like Nazi Germany happened.
Yeah.
You know, that's what made me think like, wow, like everyone would turn in your neighbor.
Yeah.
You know, if the mob is big enough, like,
it's got power.
Dude, it's got power.
But to the same accord, if we use that power for the right reasons, and you know, it's such a powerful thing.
That's the thing. I don't think, back to, I think what you're, you know, play devil advocate on that.
Yeah.
I think people being sheep.
Yeah.
We watch the race because there might be a wreck.
Right.
We don't watch the news because it's like, oh, look at little Timmy who helped the little grandma across the street.
Yeah.
No. We don't watch the news because of that.
We watch the eternal.
Yeah, we're like, oh, damn, do you know how many people got shot at this park the other day? You know, how many times, every time you turn on the news, how many people got shot in Chicago?
Yeah.
They play that story every day.
Yeah.
Because, for one, it gets clicks.
Yes, it does.
It just gets clicks. Oh, 32 people shot over 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, holy shit.
You know, they just go over and over and over. The girls twerking in Lululemon.
Exactly.
It's just like,
it's
all
is negative.
All is, but it's only, the only reason they play it is because it gets more views.
Exactly.
Than anything good.
And people don't realize it's a fucking business. I'm not doing it with like the heart, like, oh, we need to share this information if it's going to help people. They're in the boardroom saying, what the fuck is people going to, yeah, exactly. What is going to get the most attention? Yep. You think, some, you know, those like lovely dovey.
This is why you got Kanye saying what he did.
Yeah.
If you could say the most outlandish stuff, that's the same thing. He brings this girl to the ground. I don't know what he goes to, Grammys or Emmys or whatever it was, butt naked.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Dude, it's just all about what's going to get the most attention.
Yeah.
And they always say, you know, in any type of thing, there's no bad publicity. It's just all,
you know, it's just publicity. Yeah.
Any publicity is good publicity.
Because attention is the currency now.
Yes.
Yeah. That is social.
Name recognition. Yeah. And that's it. So, I mean, he's like the king of that. He's the king of trolls. I mean, Trump's good at it. Tate's good at it.
They match.
You know, obviously Kanye. I mean, there's so many things when it comes to that.
Clearview's is good at it.
Good. Yeah.
We right out there also. What crazy shit are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Speaking of crazy shit, and speaking of the Emmys that is based out of LA, I want to ask you your opinion on you have a unique experience because you grew up in the high desert, which is where we're both from. I'm currently still stuck there. Shout out Victorville. But you got a taste of both sides, right?
Yeah.
What do you feel like are the biggest differences that you notice as far as like culturally, what you expose yourself in LA and that like kind of mindset and that type of like energy compared to the high desert?
Sure. Oh man, LA is, I mean, there's much more to do in LA. You know, I like all the stuff to do. But I mean, bro, there's so many fake people.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, it's, you know, it's also LA. So I don't even know if, you know, if you could compare this to like a Chicago or like a Dallas or something like that. I'm still assuming that it's all, you know, trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Most people portray they have money, but nobody really has money. You know, and then there's people out there who have so much money.
And you mean fake in that sense, like they fake this like lifestyle that they don't really have or not trying to keep up.
Kind of like, yeah, that part too. And then also just kind of like Instagram where it's just like, it's just fake and like their life is great.
Right.
And the reality is everyone's life has ups and downs for sure. I mean, there's no one has a perfect life. I don't care how much money you have or anything. You always are gonna, you know, if your health goes, you need, that's the most important thing. There's no amount of money that's gonna fix that, you know? And, you know, just so I definitely think the guys are trying to be something that they're not. You know, a lot of them are dorks. And a lot of them,
you had a cool LA party story, if you don't mind talking about that.
Sure. You're talking about the mansion party?
Yeah, the one with the guy and the girls and we're going to go on a trip with us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I'm at this, you know, literally billionaire's house party. Yeah, it's like this $60 million mansion in Beverly Hills. And like 2 Bugattis in the front yard. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? And it's a pretty small, I think we were watching the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, so all Peter, you know, it was ridiculous, you know? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And anyways, so there's this like ridiculously, on any metric, this dude is just a dork. On any metric, right? He's an older guy. Clearly he carried himself like he had a ton of money. He looked like he had money. But you strip that boy down to his core. Yeah. He's just a really dorky kind of guy. Right. You know what I mean? And I have no idea what he did. But I would hear him talk. You know, I'd sit on the couch and I would be watching the event or whatever. And he'd be next to me and he'd be whispering in these girls' ears like, hey, I got this trip I'm going to be going on. Would you want to go? And she, oh my God, of course. And, you know, bro, they would bring buses of girls. So they bring buses of girls just to these parties, you know, and then all these guys would just kind of have their way, not necessarily their way, but the girls would kind of just all mingle. And their job was to kind of mingle with the fellas.
Was the ratio? Because I remember seeing Dan.
It was about 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know Dan Bilzerian, when he throws parties, he has like 300 girls, 30 guys.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
Very, very similar on the way they operate. Yeah. They'll bring girls in. Yeah. You know, they literally all the girls will meet at a location, like another mansion.
Wow.
They'll all get ready, and then they'll get on a bus, and they'll take that bus to the event.
And they're not paid.
No, a lot of them are paid.
Really?
Yeah. And not very much. They'll get paid maybe $150.
Okay. You know, I mean, you just want you to come kick it to this place.
Yeah. So I've been to a lot of parties where a lot of those girls type of show up, right? And these girls typically have dudes. These girls typically are, you know, every girl's talking to somebody, right? Yeah. And so it's funny how when they're at these events, the whole time they're on their phones. You know, and obviously they're doing other things too. Yeah. You know, they're posing in the mirrors and we're trying to, you know, just get likes on this type of stuff, or because they're in these mansions that nobody's at, right?
Right. Yeah.
But while they're there, these guys are all hollering at them.
Yeah.
But these girls are, I mean, there's something about, it's hard to say when you look into their eyes. I mean, it's weird that there is a soulless aspect.
Yeah.
But there's this, it's almost like an NPC. Like there's no one behind the eyes.
Yeah.
And I've never met so many girls like that than I have in LA.
Wow.
Where there's nothing behind the eyes. And you look at them and you're like, wow, this is a pretty person. The second they open their mouth, even if you see it from across the room, you're like, yikes. That person is not there. Not a real person.
Yeah.
It's just the weirdest thing. How do they function in the world? I have no idea.
Yeah.
But these girls dress, very stinky.
Yeah.
And so they get a lot of attention.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then why do they have to change? Because they're getting all this attention, right? Exactly. But anyway, so this one individual, he goes up to a couple of these girls, and one in particular, tells her about this trip. And before you know it, he's wearing a full white linen outfit, walking around with no shoes on, like the hairiest toes you've ever seen in your life.
That guy was Persian for sure.
Dude, it was a white guy.
Oh,
curly hair.
damn.
Like white dude. Probably like 5'5", small guy. And so he goes up to these young girl, and he's probably in his mid 50s.
Okay.
And he's going up to these girls who are probably in their early 20s. Right? And these girls are, they'll flirt back.
Wow.
And I saw with my own eyes these two girls at different occasions where he promised them the same story. And I'm not to even say he might be truthful on both of them. He might take both of them on these trips. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it promising private jets and promising yacht parties and the whole thing, right? And they shopping, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And he took both those girls to the bathroom at separate times, had sex with them. Mm-hmm. The second he came back, he never talked to the girl again. Gosh. And so it was so crazy. The girl was there. She gave up herself.
Yeah.
For a prospect.
Yeah.
That most likely he didn't take her on anything.
Right.
But at the same time, like, who's the wrong in that situation?
Right.
Like, I still put it on the man.
Yeah.
Because he shouldn't be doing this to young girls.
Right.
I mean, I think that it's ridiculous.
Right.
But at the same time, that girl came there thinking that maybe she has to do this.
Right.
To go, because her priority is these trips.
Right.
Because she wants an Instagram tag. She wants to act like she's getting this live.
Yeah.
And, that guy will never be in the videos.
Right.
He's never going to be seen.
Yeah.
And so in her world, she's like living this lavish lifestyle.
Right.
But she's literally giving up her soul for this stuff. And I saw that on a grand scale. And it really turned me off.
Yeah.
Massively to LA people.
Yeah.
And I saw it so much that and it's also impossible to find like an actual, the good, authentic girl in this town.
Right.
But and then I found my wife. When that all happened, actually I met her on Tinder.
Really?
I did.
Sometimes just straight.
Yeah, man. But I have a really cool story. I'll tell you at a different time. But I really had a moment with God. Like, why am I continuing to choose the same women?
Right.
Why am I continuing to live a certain lifestyle? Why am I continuing to even go to these events?
Right.
Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I was blaming all these other people. I really pointing the finger at, that girl was crazy, or that girl was, you fill in the blank. Until I really had that self-reflection and told myself, like, what are you doing? Why
that was part of that kind of thing?
Yeah, you're at these things. You hate every time you're there. All you do is walk away talking shit about it.
Right.
You don't feel good.
Right.
I'm not telling any of these girls all these lies.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they're not giving me any play.
Right.
And the second I talk to them, you don't want to talk to them anyway.
You're right.
So what are you doing?
Nothing there. Yeah.
So it's nothing there.
But I think you had to experience it a few times to realize, man, there is nothing here.
Yeah.
Because of course, that curiosity is what drives human nature, right? Like you're curious. Yeah. Oh, I want to go to these LA parties. Like who wouldn't, right?
Yes.
They want to just experience that.
Yes.
At least once in life, right? Or at least know how the other half lives, or the top 1% or whatever like that. But at the end of the day, like you said, there is nothing there. It is empty. There is no substance. It's just a lot of superficial lust, deception, manipulation, and drugs. Oh, for sure.
Thank God I'm not going to LA parties because your boy would be cleaning out.
But I just want to make the point of like, you said like, is it the girl's fault or the guy's fault? And I think obviously it's both faults, right? Because the girl has these intentions of, she doesn't really care about the guy. She's just giving it up, not because, I kind of like him. It's like, if I let him smash, he's going to friggin', give me the life right now. So her intentions are ill intent.
Right.
His intentions are, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I know. And by the way, girls, us guys, we know that if we have money and we're at an LA scene party like that, and you're willing to give it up, like they're taking advantage of it.
No, they are.
That's what it comes down.
But that's why I still find it to be the mans are the one who pursued.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what, even in those scenarios, the man was going up to the girl. The girl was being submissive on like giving herself up because she thought she was going to get something out of it.
Right.
But I think men are put on this planet to be the leaders.
Okay.
And so I agree with you. You know, I've really rocked back and forth. I've wanted to put a lot of blame on the women.
Yeah.
Put a blame on the OnlyFans. We're the ones buying it.
Right.
You know, the men are the ones doing all of this stuff.
Yeah.
We're the ones, you know, making all of these girls rich
Yeah.
for no reason.
Yeah.
And
So if I look through it through that lens, then I would honestly, this is just my true opinion, I would say it's 51-49. 51% men's fault.
Yes.
49% the woman's fault.
yes,
It's a very real high. Yeah. Because the reality is, as a woman, and if you nowadays are this strong, independent woman, equal to men in every way,
yeah, but that's not true.
it's not. That's my point. Is the fact is you would be able to stand up for yourself and be like, I'm not gonna fall for this. Because I feel like girls are privy to it too.
The only reason why I think society even says that these women are strong is because weak men have tried to tell a girl, because they're trying to get laid from this girl. I'm sorry, that you're a strong woman.
Independent woman, yeah.
You're an independent woman, and you're gonna get this, and you're gonna get that.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. It's everything is really down to do the men control everything, and but the problem is we have a lot of weak men.
Yeah.
And the weak men
out there.
have been able to be like, work. If you're having to say that things aren't fair,
Yeah.
and if women were that powerful,
Yeah.
why do they have to ask us?
Right.
Why do they have to say, you need to give us power?
Yeah.
You need to put us, well, you need to hire us.
Yeah.
If you're really that powerful,
It would have happened naturally.
you would just do it.
Yeah.
You don't need to sit there and ask for it.
Right.
And so the only reason these things happen is because you don't have the power. And the reason you don't have the power is because men just do.
Right.
It's not something that we try to say like we're better than you or not. It's just
the
we do.
reality. It's the reality.
And a strong man is going to be able to take it. Even if you put a queen in there,
Yeah.
and you say, okay, I'm going to surround myself with a female army.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
See how long that lasts.
Exactly.
Guys are going to come in there and crush you.
Merc. Yeah.
And so it's like, well, you weren't strong enough.
Yeah.
Well, give it back.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just the strength has to actually come naturally.
Right.
It can't just be like, oh, I'm going to give you this. And then now that you have it,
Right.
we're just going to we're going to pretend
Yeah.
that you're stronger than me.
Right.
And we're going to pretend that you can, you're the superhero. I guess it's all pretend.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's back to like, we're all these men are just pretending,
Yeah.
and we've allowed this voice to be expressed
Yeah.
that these girl bosses and all this other stuff. Right. There's definitely, there are women out there who are much more intelligent than some men.
100%.
There are girls out there who could kick some men's ass.
Yeah.
But at the highest echelon
Right.
of man,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, he's going to whoop every female. He's going to also whip most men.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So that's the issue.
And that's like the truth says. I feel like let's go ahead and have a contest, right? I want the strongest woman on the planet against the strongest man on the planet, and let's do a physical activity, okay? Then I want the highest intelligent woman, like the smartest woman on the planet with the highest IQ versus the highest IQ guy, and let's see who wins, and so on and so forth. The reality is there's gonna be some disparities. It's just natural. It's just how it is.
Besides Oprah, name a billionaire, a self-made billionaire, a female self-made billionaire.
Can't name one.
All the billionaires are through divorce.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's how all the billionaires pick the name they'll
The ones that are out there, yeah.
with the exception of Larry.
Who got inherited money from their father or some shit like that. Yeah.
Right, but
Yeah.
from who?
Yeah. Mad. Yeah.
Still a man.
Yeah.
Like it's not, and this isn't racist or sexist, sexist or anything like that.
Yeah.
These are just the facts.
Those are the facts. Yeah. And not to say that there's not strong independent women. Like, for instance, going back to the story of like my parents, right? So my mom and my father. My mom is a very strong independent woman. But like I said last time, when there wasn't a conversation or something that they were discussing, if my dad was like, my foot is down on this is what we're doing, she would submit. And that again spoke to her strength.
Yeah.
Because it does take a strong woman to be like, you know what, I'm going to submit. I'm going to secede to my man because that is how it was intended. You
Right.
know? Adam was created and then Eve was created from his rib.
Right.
His side. Right. I mean, like, that was by design, 100%. It was to foreshadow what the relationship was supposed to be, the dynamic, the hierarchy, and so it's just a matter of accepting it, in my opinion, for women. Like, if they accept that concept,
Right.
and they say, I can still be strong and independent, through this channel, through this path, through my lane, I feel like I won't be able to play.
Women's role, and I think probably they're most happiest. I think everyone is most happiest in their natural roles.
Right.
And that's one thing that we got farthest away from.
Yeah.
Is our natural roles.
Right.
Our natural roles are, women are here to create babies. It really is. And I think they're the happiest when they create babies.
Right. They are.
It's just straight up.
They are. They always talk about it too. Like their life changed once they have their baby.
They'll be. For men too. 100%. Yeah. You get just a completely different type of love.
Can you explain that feeling?
No, you're there. It's imagined.
Really?
Yeah.
But was it in that moment? Did you feel it leading up to it, or was it just as soon as you saw Bash? Right?
Yeah, it was all 50%. It was. Yeah. It takes a while to be like, is this real?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like anything else, kind of like, okay. No, not that. Oh, really? That's not. I know. But is this real? Like getting to just like anything, even though the trust, like getting to know this person. And as you're caring for something, like if you care for your car, your high maintenance car, you end up loving that car.
Right.
More when it's something you just get in and get out, get in, get out.
Yeah.
If you're constantly caring for something, like love is an action, not a word.
Right.
You know what I mean? Love is a real action.
True fact.
And so the more action and I think this is one of the things when you have these fathers and even moms that don't really care about their kids, it's because they're not taking the action daily. If they just start spending time with their kids, I guarantee that immediately they love them and the more they want to spend time with them.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they go too long without spending time with them.
Yeah.
They create a disconnect.
Yeah.
And then this is why they can just be like, well, I don't really need to see my kid anymore because they care and they love with the things that they love. What are the things that they care about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
what I think. And, but I definitely, with my son in particular, I spent a ton of time with him.
Yeah.
And so I, had developed obviously just like any parent, even when you just had them, you love them. It's a little mini you.
Right.
And when you see them develop and you see them, actually becoming a person and having, just being able to communicate and be a little person, it's just lovely.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And dude, the kids are the best thing ever. I think people should be having kids way younger too.
Yeah.
I think people should be having kids right at 18.
Really?
100%.
You know what? I actually, I wish my parents had me younger because I was telling you last time, I didn't really get a chance because my dad had me at 42. My mom was 38. So by the time I came of age where I can even do anything with my dad, realistically, he was already in his 60s.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's
right.
So speaking of that though.
And not like an active 60-year-old.
Exactly. Yeah. He was just like a business owner. He came home and just ate and slept and then went back to work. Right. So it wasn't working out or anything like that.
Right.
Speaking of that though, as far as marriage, speaking of the topic of marriage and kids, what do you think are the biggest pros and cons of being single today compared to being married? You're married, I'm single, so we can talk about that a little bit.
I couldn't give you a plus of being single.
Really?
No.
I'll give you a couple pluses.
No, you can't. Everything you're saying is it sounds good, but it's just not.
I feel especially I think I know what you're
in comparison.
Yeah.
Not.
To say, for me, the plus is I don't have any attachments or responsibilities in that sense, right? I don't have to worry about taking my kid to practice.
Right.
I can focus more on the podcast and focus more on my business, right? If I had a wife, I would have to give her that time. She, because I think I'm a great partner in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very loyal partner. I'm a very honest partner. And I love caring for my woman. I want her happiness makes me happy. Right. But knowing that about myself, I know I can't do that and try to succeed in this business because I need to be locked in, and that, not to say that at some point, once we really get things going where we want that things will become a little bit more self-sufficient. And then I could maybe deviate some of that time to a woman and, a family. But right now, I love that I'm single and I love that I don't have those attachments. But I'm sure for you, it's different because it's you love seeing Bash when you get home. You love seeing Dylan. You love seeing Andrew when you get home. You know what I mean? And sharing those moments with her and them, it fills your world, right?
Yeah, there's nothing better. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing better. And also when I was single, I went out a lot, I dated a lot, all these things. And it just really was a distraction.
Yeah.
From me being me.
Right.
Right now, I'm authentically me.
Right.
Like authentically. I like to work.
Yeah.
I like to spend time with my kids. I don't like to party.
Yeah.
I don't like to drink.
Yeah.
I don't do any of those things. I like to go to the gym. I like to even work out at home now.
Yeah.
You know, these are what I like to do.
Right.
And at home, the last thing I have to do is impress anybody. I don't have to be like, you know, be on my best behavior.
Right.
I could just be me.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you know, that's one thing I couldn't believe, you know, for my entire 30s.
Yeah.
I really was not necessarily somebody else, but I was constantly trying to find somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when you're trying to find someone constantly, it's a distraction from being yourself.
Yeah.
Again, back to your authentic self.
Right.
And it's a distraction from work and letting your business grow. Like the second I got me and my wife right together,
Yeah.
bro, my business flourished.
Right.
Because now I could stop worrying about that aspect and I could pocket that. And now I could really focus on just being myself. And then all of a sudden, business started to flourish.
And especially because you have the right woman who is a supportive brother. She's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. She only makes you better, not worse, you know?
No, absolutely. Yeah, she has my back. She wants to push me to do better.
Right.
She also, the biggest thing that I'd noticed about her from any other girl is she like kind of demands me to be the man that I am. Right. And that's one of the coolest things where everybody else was kind of like, they wanted me to be a man.
Yeah.
That they wanted. Right.
Right.
But the second I was try to be that,
Yeah.
they didn't like it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. So women don't really say what they want. They say they want this thing. I almost feel like it's a test.
It is.
To see if you're going to submit to that,
Right.
to that want,
Yeah.
that little manipulation that they have.
Yeah.
And then the second you say like, okay, I'm going to try to be the person you want.
Right.
Immediately they're like, you lose all credibility with them.
Do you think it too that it's like because you're becoming that man? Like I'm sure, like no, I want you to be successful. I want you to be ripped. I want you to be this, whatever. Because you're becoming those things, maybe they feel the insecurity of like, oh, now I'm gonna lose them because now another woman's gonna see that and be like, oh, I want that. Do you feel like it's anything like that?
No,
because like my experience in my past relationships was like, you know me, like when we met, I was out of shape, right? And I was a big fitness guy. And every time I got into a relationship, they always loved that. Like I had a nice body, relatively speaking. I wasn't like anything crazy, but a nicer body than what I have now.
Wow.
And they were drawn by it. And oh, you know, it's cool. He lifts and works out. But as soon as we got into like the third or fourth month, like you work out too much. All right, I like to go to the gym because you like the girls there.
right.
That kind of thing. And then I lost myself and I'm like, okay, now I have to
See, that's what I'm talking about. But see, that right there is what I'm talking about. They're going to test you by saying those things. Okay. The second you fall for it, the second you fall for that test and you fail, immediately she knows that she could control you. And I think she loses respect for you.
and even more
You have to stick to your guns. You focus on yourself,
yeah.
not in a selfish way, but in a way of like self-love.
Right.
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 And the more they see the self-love come out of you, the more respect they're going to have of you.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed. And the nice thing about my wife is she loves that I have that self-love.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's definitely times in our relationship that I kind of like will lack on that.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I think that creates stress in our relationship.
Yeah.
Because at any moment I could get into a weaker man.
Yeah.
You know, we can always become a weaker man. You could become lazier. You can do all these things. And I think that will create kind of like resentment. You know, like they want a man to be a man,
Yeah.
you know, I think naturally.
Yeah.
And when you're not, and I think this has been the mind fuck that most people that, you know, and I've listened to lots of different things and I've done a lot of research on these topics, but I really think this is a big one that women test us and us men need to stand our ground.
Yeah.
And that's why I say we're the leaders.
Yeah.
And if you're that way and you stay convicted to like, hey, oh man, I don't want to go to church today. No, we're going.
Yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And we go, and it's like, I promise,
we win.
that's gonna be a good day.
Yeah.
Because she's gonna look at me on those days and be like,
I'm glad
I'm glad he made me go. I can try. I said, trust him that he's gonna make me do the thing that I don't want to do right now. He's gonna make me do it, and I'm actually gonna like it.
Yeah. It's almost like fulfilling that father figure role, even though you're married, right? They look to their father to give them the direction, right?
Yeah.
When they were a child or adolescent or whatever. And it's like now that they move into marriage, it's like they still need that father figure role. And that's like the patriarchy. You know what I mean? That's what it like satisfies. You know?
I totally agree.
The irony, though, for me, at least in my experience, was, you know, when my relationships, when I went from working out all the time and then they would give me crap about it and like, oh, you're just doing it for the girls or whatever.
Right.
And then I submit to that. Right. And then I fucking get fat. Right.
Right.
And then they leave me because I'm not attractive anymore.
Yes.
It's like, there's no win.
This is what I'm telling.
So standing my ground, I would have, been different. I would have been different. So pretty much I'm a big bitch for that. No.
There you go.
Not anymore, ladies. Not anymore. I'm privy to it. I'm privy to it now.
Let's see this alpha come out.
Yeah.
And I promise you, you know, I like I like the saying that you really, you know, you got to focus on you.
Right.
And I hate that feeling because a narcissist will listen to that and be like, yeah, I'm focusing on me.
Right.
There has to be a balance. If you're focusing on you just to be selfish, that's wrong. Yeah. If you're focusing on you to better yourself, if you're fitting in, you know, you still need to make time for the wife and you still need to do things for the wife. You still need to, you know, or your girl or just, you know, whatever. And also the kids. But it really is about, again, with what is your intention in all this?
Exactly.
Is your intention going to the gym and seeing girls? Right. And if it is, then you're going to the gym for the wrong reason.
Right.
And so she's right in calling you on that.
Of course, yeah.
If you're going to the gym to actually better yourself,
right,
then go to the gym to actually better yourself. Right. And then at that moment, you could go there and she can have really anything to say.
Right.
It's really going to be all based on your intentions.
Yeah.
And again, in time, it'll show.
Oh, 100%.
When she goes to the gym with you and every girl comes up to you and says hi,
she's gonna know.
You're gonna be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna be like, oh yeah, I talked to all these girls when you're not here.
Right.
Like that's not okay.
Yeah.
Because your intention there is to go flirt with girls.
Exactly.
It's you need to be going to the gym, taking care of yourself.
Right.
Nose down.
Right.
I'm very social, so I don't find like saying hi to people is wrong.
Right.
But there's a level of like, you know, a barrier.
You don't cross that boundary.
You don't cross that boundary.
You can say hi, how you doing?
Yeah, but to see someone every single day,
right?
I kind of almost feel like it's rude not to say
exactly.
If you're standing in a room with you get in an elevator with the same person every single day.
Yeah.
I don't care what sex it is.
Right.
If you don't say hi, I personally feel like it's kind of...
You can just be cordial.
Yeah. But at the same time, keep a line.
Right.
You know, and not for anybody else, but even just for yourself. Like, you don't need to cross the line for, like, even if the other person never knows.
Yeah.
Like, you know, whether you're going to go home and be like, oh, you know, I was talking to that girl, she liked me, or this.
Right.
Or you know all this stuff. Like, and that shows in your relationship.
Yeah.
You know, you come in home a little cockier than you were.
Right.
Or, you know, I mean, that's not healthy.
You start telling her, like, girl, I can find...
Right. Exactly. No, time.
Don't try me.
Yeah. And that is like the worst thing to say. Right. It basically bringing up the D word in a relationship.
It really is.
You know, when you start saying like, oh, we could just get divorced if you're not having a... Well, no, the second you start bringing that up, your marriage is destined.
Yeah. No, dude, you know, that should never be an option. God, or even a thought. And I think that speaks to the person if that is like an option or a thought.
Yes.
It's like, okay, do you actually really even like, are you truly committed? Because I don't feel like if you're committed to something that would even enter your brain.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. But it's a manipulation. It's a dangling of the carrot of saying like, if you don't do what I want, then this is on the table.
Yeah.
And the second that, you know, a relationship is never if you don't do what I want. It is a compromise. You know what I mean? And again, I think you need to be the type of man that is worth submitting to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're a dumbass and you constantly make bad decisions,
right?
Okay. Constantly making bad decisions. You're constantly parking in the wrong fucking spot,
right?
For whatever reason. You're constantly walking around with your headphones on and you got mugged twice. Like, I'm sorry, you're
asking for it.
You're kind of a dumbass.
Yeah.
Stop being a dumbass. And so why would she trust you? If you got mugged twice, you telling me she's going to go walk the streets with you now? You'd be like, fuck no.
Yeah.
You get your ass beat every time you know, you don't know how to talk to people. You say the wrong things and then you get beat up and you want me to go out with you?
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be that's going to be tough for her to actually like be trustworthy and submit to that man.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think that's another thing about being the man that a woman would want to submit to. And once and then that was going to also help that dynamic.
Okay.
You know, about why she's going to submit to you, why she's going to be loyal to you, why she's going to be all these things. Right.
And with that being said, like, do you think the modern marriage still holds the same value as it did like 20 years ago?
It doesn't at all.
What do you think it's changed?
No shame. There used to be a shame in divorce.
Yeah. Now it's normalized.
Now shit, like, who cares?
I think the divorce.
The divorce rate is like you broke up.
Yeah.
It's like a boyfriend and girlfriend broke up. That's all it is.
And I think that's the lack of God in it.
100%.
Because if you believe in God and you had the faith and you understand that is a sacrament and a covenant before God that you're committed to this person, and you take that seriously, divorce would never be an option.
Right.
But because we've taken God out of the equation, the mindset is like, this is just another level of the relationship. Right. So it's like, it's just a relationship. Oh, I can end it anytime. I can walk away from it. You know what I mean? And that's what I value about my culture, actually, and not to like say we are perfect or anything like that, but within my culture, there is still a stigma behind it. And it's interesting that I'm bringing this up because we're going to have a controversial guest come on. I didn't even tell you about shit, but that person wants to speak on this topic.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
She happens to be my sister. So,
sweet.
And she wanted to discuss this. So, it's interesting because she's going to have a different perspective than I do.
Right.
But
I would love to talk. She has a different perspective than what we're talking about.
Oh, 100%. No, well, not like to an extreme, but the stigma behind divorce in at least the Middle Eastern culture.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
There was a deep stigma behind it. And, I guess what I'm just saying, I'm just talking about like the reality of it. I'm not like taking a side per se.
Sure.
But there is still a stigma. So the fact is, what do you do?
Yeah. Do you think that's traditional?
Oh, 100%. It's a culture.
I mean, how many people at your age are traditional?
That's the thing. Especially, so
there's like the first generation
exactly
are still traditional, but your generation ain't.
Exactly. The problem is the Arab population, especially like the one that I'm exposed to, right? All of our parents, every single one of them, none of them were born here.
Right.
They were all born in the Middle East. They were born in Egypt. Right. And then they migrated here, whatever, and gained citizenship, and they had their kids here.
Right.
But we're getting confused because we're raising up hearing this from home, like this is how you guys should view the world, and then we're getting exposed to this American culture and the Americanized view.
Yes.
And it's like you tussle with it. You know what I mean? That's what happened to me. I think the reason why I went the path I went was I grew up in the church, and the thing is with our faith, like you're baptized after 45 days of birth. Like once you're born, for males, I think it's 45 days. And I think for women, it's like 90 or something like that.
That's right.
I don't know why there's a difference, but there is, and because we're better, literally. God's like, hurry up. You're going to go to heaven first. Like, what about that other just joking. But, I grew up in the church and I was exposed to it at a very young age. So then when I got older in high school and then I started getting like American friends, because I had friends from church.
Right.
And then my friends from school and like my American friends, like not saying that my church friends weren't cool. It's just, I was used to them.
Yes.
They were doing exciting new things that I was like, degenerate, but it was, that world thing. Oh, so Jamaica. All right. I want to go,
do this. The cry your older area. Yeah.
So I decided to go that path.
Right.
And that's what led me down the path that I went.
Yeah.
Right. Or that was the start of it. Whereas that group of church friends, they stayed close knit, and like I see where they're at in life, and I'm like, damn, I should have stayed that route.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just interesting because that's what a lot of us have to deal with. Like a lot of the friends that I have and that are Egyptian and Coptic and whatnot, they're dealing with these tussles, like trying to satisfy the Egyptian culture and how we were raised, but still like living in America, and especially current day modern America. Right. You know what I mean? It's a much different contrast for sure.
Yeah. Again, coming from a religious background to a, atheist background or a secular background.
Right.
It's kind of what the American way now is. Yes. They're more than anything. We're a godless society.
Right.
And so you're coming from a God society to a godless society. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people go through that. I think, we're raising my kids to be Christian.
Yeah.
They go to church with us. They both actually really love being Christian. They talk about it in the school. Nothing's been forced on them, which has been pretty cool. Like when I was young and I had to go to church, I was like, I want to go to church.
Right.
It sucks.
Right.
My kids actually are like, oh, we're going to church, right? I want to go at this time.
Yeah.
Can we go at this time?
Right.
And that's something I think that I am seeing, that this next generation is much more religious than probably my generation.
Right.
Which is pretty cool to see. But I mean, who knows as a whole?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just really feel that struggle that you went through just had to happen.
Yeah, no, I
Like you needed to go through it.
absolutely.
Because, you never really know when you're going to go through that. Just because you went through it now, bro, life is long.
It is.
You know what I mean? You're going to have other trials in your life that could bring you out of that and go into, you name it. Yeah. Same thing with those kids. They could get with a girl and that girl breaks up with them, or they get in a car accident. All of a sudden they get to be drug addicts at 60. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They all, these things happen.
Life happens.
Life happens at any time. Right. And life is not. So just to say like that they're on this path now,
right?
Or you don't know where their path, and no, you don't know where your path is.
100%.
So you really need to focus on your path.
Yeah.
And not that you should have or shouldn't have.
Yeah.
The fact that you went through the path, whatever that path is, did you learn the lesson or not?
Exactly.
Bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the faster you learn that lesson, the better you are off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the fact that it happened to you already.
Yeah.
Bro, thank God it happened to you already.
Exactly.
How I view God and how I view you already.
Yeah, yeah.
Because thank God you weren't 400 pounds with a broken back.
Yeah.
Because some work accident or something happened.
Right.
Then you get addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
Then your wife leaves you.
Right.
Then, this story happened.
It's a little much worse.
It could be much, much worse.
Yeah.
And you learn this lesson. You realize your health is the most important.
Mm-hmm.
Get that health right. Get your mental health right. Why did you fall into that trap?
Yeah.
And again, I talk all this stuff and we're all, everyone could say a big talk.
Right.
The second you're in a situation is a completely different ballpark
100%.
than when you are actually telling someone advice. Right? I mean, so I'm not saying I'm any better than that.
That's the problem that I fucking have with the world that we live in today is a lot of these things that you hear about, like, when people are being attacked or persecuted on social media or whatever like that. Like, for instance, this is so random, but I just became privy to this. I was actually talking to my boy Josh about this earlier. I watched the Liver King documentary on Netflix yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't know I knew who he was, but I didn't know about the whole PED thing and him using steroids or whatever, and that, he lied and all that stuff. And it's like, I do to a degree feel like he in that moment maybe thought like my message is more important than this little aspect of it, whether it's right or wrong. I know obviously lying is never right, but you don't know what that person was going through. You don't know his struggles at his young age. You know what I mean? That forced him to he talks about, at least in the documentary, that he was bullied a lot. His father died at a young age.
Yeah.
That shapes a person. You know what I mean? It makes them who they are, And to that point, like for my situation, I'm very thankful now looking back that I went through what I went through, because I know, one, it made me a stronger person.
Right.
The fact that I fucking broke myself out of that dark abyss, like I said, like I never thought I was capable of that.
Right.
And like I said, to be sitting here today with you and doing this, like this was a dream come true. Like I never thought this would take place. So the reality is there's always, you can always get better. You can always do better. It's just a matter of, like you said, do you learn from the lessons? Are you trying? Are you focused on it? Like,
right.
If you just submit and you just fall into it. But again, I was in it. I was that guy where I was like, this is it. This is like me looking back now 2 years to talk to that Bishoy. If he knew what this was gonna, like, this
right.
Bishoy exists,
right,
he'd be like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way.
Right.
There's no way.
Right.
But looking back now, it's just crazy. It's just,
yeah. I mean, God is the ultimate planner, and
yeah,
I think, so it all happened for a reason.
Right.
No matter who it is. And I mean, I've had, a lot of my struggles, divorce, my father passed as well.
Right.
These different things, and these, so definitely struggle. Breakups, they're huge. And so.
But it shapes you today, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, business failures,
and whether it's consciously, I even think subconsciously, you know what I mean? Like we have these like internal innate things that about us that we don't even realize we have because of our struggles, because of our traumas.
Oh,
and it's always like on a deeper level that we don't maybe see on the surface. Like,
absolutely.
Speaking of that though, and back to the marriage thing, just because I find it really interesting. What advice would you give someone debating between staying single or settling down, specifically in 2025? For me, per se, like why?
I mean, everyone's different. I think, again, I don't know. I mean, my My thing is find a good girl,
Yeah.
commit to her, and stay with her for as long.
So you guys exist? Are you guys still out there? Are there any advice? Good girls out?
I don't care who comes along. If you find a good one,
Yeah.
I don't care who comes along, whether she's pretty or has this or has that.
Okay.
If you find someone who loves you and you love them,
Yeah.
I say commit to them and stay with them forever.
So I should take
Nothing's going to be better than that.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to be better.
Right.
You know, there's going to be people who are better at this and better at this and better at this. But once you really have someone that loves you and you love them and you guys really, I mean, I think when you know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And that's the hard thing to say with this.
When did you know with Angie?
Oh, like right away.
What was? Oh, wait.
You know, I think that's how it usually works though.
Yeah.
It was just easy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything flowed well.
It was effortless.
It was effortless. Yeah, that's the one. My buddy Mac, he would tell me that all the time. Like, man, I'd be dating this girl. I'd be like, yeah, man, she's got this problem and this, but I really like her and I really like this and I really like that. And he goes, man, you're forcing it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I wanted to like somebody.
Right. Same.
But
I've been that guy. Yeah.
But then it's just like, nah, she ain't it.
Yeah.
She ain't it. She ain't it. And, you know, and then when I found my wife, it was just like immediately, I didn't have to try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just, I could just be myself. And she loved me for who I am.
Yeah.
And then immediately all of a sudden, but that really didn't come until I said, like, Lord, change me.
Right.
Make me the man that's going to make a woman.
You're gonna attract the right.
Yeah, attract the right woman. Exactly.
Right.
So that only happened at that point.
Yeah.
Because before that, I kept saying, like, I had a list of things that I wanted from the girl.
Yeah.
And they were all wrong. And then I kept dating basically the same girl.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I kept arguing on the same nonsense.
That was me.
You know, it's because you keep picking the wrong people.
Yeah.
Pickers wrong.
You know what I think it is for me is, I don't know what this is, but like the compassion inside of me and like the empathy inside of me. Like I'm a very empathetic and compassionate person, right? So like when I see a broken girl, there's nothing more that I want to do than to like help fix her, right?
Right.
And that was the problem. Was one, of course, I'm a dude. I'm attracted to attractive women, right? All my exes, I think they were 10s, all of them.
Right.
Shout out to the exes, but but the reality was, you know, they all had certain issues, specifically, like daddy issues, right? So I think for me, like I wanted to come in and fulfill that role. Yeah, like not to say I wanted to be their daddy. I'm saying like I wanted to be the stable man in their life. Yeah, you know, like hey, this is what love looks like. You know, this is what you deserve. But the reality is, when they're broken, no other person is gonna be able to fix it. They have to be able to fix themselves first. You know. But I was young and immature, and I was, you know, they were hot, and I was like, no, I'll make it work. I'll make it work. And I kept on forcing it. Even though there were red flags. I was like, no, it's fine. She's hot and I love her. You know, she's hot and I love her.
Yeah. And who loved the way she looked. What I building it after.
And that's the reality is like when you are looking on the surface level, you're only going to get surface level results. It's only going to last for so long until it shows its true colors. And unfortunately, they all showed their true color, with the exception to maybe one. But
right.
Yeah, the other ones, yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I never saw, I mean, the benefit of being single, I mean, depends on if are you single and dating a lot?
Yeah.
I think I understand dating a lot. You kind of find what you like and what you don't like.
Right.
So I kind of understand that aspect.
Right.
To be honest, when I really look back, I really don't think any of that's true. I think you kind of know, you want to be, you want to be yourself.
Right.
That's what you want.
Right.
And you got to find someone you can be yourself with.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it really boils down to that. That's really, all you really want is just to be yourself.
Right.
You don't want to be the person who has to fix somebody.
Exactly.
You don't want to be the person who has to like walk on eggshells, don't walk on these crowd, don't do all this stuff. You don't want to be that guy.
Right.
And so the second you're that guy, that relationship is kind of like destined. Right. And the second you have to be that guy for that relationship to succeed, it's never going to succeed.
Yeah.
The only way it's going to succeed is if you are just yourself.
Well, no, I put that persona on for so long.
You can only put this, and we're like, oh, this is me. No, it's not.
Yeah.
You'll know when it's you because it's effortless.
Yeah.
You know, if you know when it's you, when you go to the gym and you're not looking for other people.
Right.
When you want to be the good man for that other person.
Right.
Right. And unless you are like literally, like you could be also a piece of shit.
Yeah.
who
all these sound bites, it's just you ripping me up. It's gonna be so funny. Watch. Oh,
because it been you at all, just in general.
when you do these soundbite clips, it's gonna be like you're just telling me you're a piece of shit. You need to work on your. Watch when I edit this shit. This is
Well, I hope not. That's something I did.
No, I know,
Say something.
I
Not
know,
directed or anyone individually.
I know.
Of course. I think it's just my experience on dating and how dynamics between men and women kind of.
So let me ask you this then. You had mentioned you met Angie on Tinder, right? And I said you struck gold, right? Sometimes you strike gold.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on like, okay, where should I look for this right? Where should I look for this right one?
You know, now that I'm looking back and my faith is much stronger, you know, first I would say church. The hardest thing with church is I don't ever, this even goes for the gym. Any of the places that you really love to go,
Right.
you don't want to taint that place.
Yeah.
You don't want to, for one, take that place away from them.
Right.
Because if the odds of you meeting somebody and that person being the one are probably still pretty thin.
Right.
Right. So if you meet somebody so that's why you need to take it slow.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you don't know that person, being honest with that person, letting them know, like, this isn't for me, be well in advance. So there's no feelings hurt and that person can continue to go there and you could continue to go there.
Yeah.
You don't want to take, if there's a church that you go to and you love that church, then all of a sudden you guys break up and someone has to stop going to that church. And that sucks for whoever person. You know what I mean? Because that might be the place, if it's even with the gym, that might be a place where you get your therapy.
Yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden you're taking that place away from them.
That's true.
That might be a real downfall. Don't even think about them. It might be a downfall for you.
Yeah.
Or that person now starts coming in with somebody else.
Yeah.
That, that they're dating now.
Yeah.
And you got feelings still for that person and you're hurt, or you want to be yourself again, right?
Right.
You found that girl you could be yourself with. Well, what is being yourself? It means you go into the gym, right?
Yeah.
Now, you were going to feel uncomfortable bringing that person around someone that you dated at the gym.
Yeah.
Right. So that is something that you really got to be careful with those type of things. But, I definitely think, what was the question again? Sorry.
As far as like, where should I look for?
Online is just where everyone dates now. So I think it's hard.
You think I should, your point was, start with the church. I think
I do. I'm not against online dating whatsoever.
really,
No, not
okay. So even though like with like the signal behind, typically people, especially,
you're in control.
yeah,
You're in control of,
yeah,
if some girl sends you a coochie pic, block it immediately.
yeah.
Because she sent that picture out a bunch of times. That shit is,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So you're going to be the man. So you're going to have to control the, put in your profile that these are what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And then, but be honest and hold yourself accountable to those things.
I it's crazy because, when I got out of rehab, I had made some friends in the inside, and they were cool dudes, right? And they were telling me, I wasn't. This is like 340 me, right? So I'm like really like no self-esteem,
Big daddy shit.
yeah. I was big fucking fat daddy show,
Right.
for sure. But they were like, you need to get on dating sites, like to get you like remotivated and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I guess whatever. Like I was never really a big guy, right? Like I think I tried plenty of fish when I was in my 20s, and then I had a bad experience. That's actually a really funny story. Let me focus on this story because it's fucking crazy. I'm on Plenty of Fish, okay, and new to it, and this is like when it just came out. This is like when probably like I'm 20 or 21 or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. I see this girl, beautiful. Okay. I even show, and all my boys will attest to this, so it wasn't just me.
Right.
I show her to every single one of my friends. I'm like, hey, is she bad? They're like, bro, this chick's bad.
Right.
I'm like, sick. I'm gonna go in for the kill.
Wait, I think I know the story.
I hit her up. She shows interest. We match.
Okay.
We're chilling. We start talking, right? I'm in Victorville. She's in Upland.
Okay.
She's in Upland. We're talking for about 2 weeks, right? And then like 2 weeks into it, we're like, oh, let's start to plan to like hang out. So we're setting that up, right? And then before we went to hang out, we were having a conversation and we're just, how's your day? Blah, blah, blah. You know, she sent me videos like of her dancing and stuff. Right. She's sending me pictures and videos. So I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, I'm liking
Not catfish or whatever.
not catfish. Right. She sends me this long text and she's talking about like, oh, it's, you know, it's been tough. I moved here recently and, you know, I'm trying to make new friends and, I dance, like I'm a go-go dancer at this club as like side thing. And it's just tough. Like a lot of friends here and you know, I'm transgender and it's like, I'm, you know, it's just tough. This big long message in the middle. She just just
throws it in there.
just casually.
Right.
So I like double take it. I read, I was like, question mark, question mark. I was like, transgender?
Right.
I was like,
Oh my God.
yeah, I was like, whoa. And that was my first experience ever. I didn't even think I knew what transgender was up until that point.
Oh,
You know what I mean? And I tell her, I'm like, yo, I was like, listen, bro. Listen, bro. Yeah, exactly. No offense to you. You seem like a cool dude.
Right.
But this is not my cup of tea. I was like, respectfully, I'm out. You're like, I wish you kind of would have mentioned it in the beginning.
Yeah.
Bro, whatever. I'll let it slide. But yeah, I'm good.